What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. We're going to be doing my full review of the American Blade Works Model 1. Let's get into it. All right, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to do some size comparisons. We'll jump into profile comparisons. We'll weigh the knife. Thoughts and impressions. Pretty simple, same as most of my videos. Let's kick it off with a couple of quick size comparisons of this American made knife. We're going to kick it off against the Para 3, and we're going to bring out the Spyderco Shaman. So you can see this actually falls kind of in between the two of these knives as far as size comparisons go. A little bit bigger than the Para 3, a little bit smaller than the Shaman. So I'm going to call that more of a medium EDC. Moving that Para 3 out of the way, let's bring the Bug out in here because this is another one that I consider a medium EDC, and you can see pretty close in size, a little bit longer on handle length and right around the same length for the blade. And then I'm going to bring out my Atom right here from TRM. TRM is going to be just a little bit longer in blade length and just a skosh longer in handle length. So pretty close in size, but I'd still classify this more as a medium EDC. Having said that, let's do some profile comparisons. We're going to do it against the Shaman, and we're going to do it against the TRM Atom. So as you can see here, these are relatively about the same. And I'm going to bring in just a little bit more light because I realize might not be able to see that because of the dark scales. So I would say that the Model 1 might be slightly thinner. Let's see if I can usually have more luck when my hands are up on the screen. Yeah, pretty close, right? Pretty close. Not enough to continue looking at. And then the ever so thin and slicey TRM Atom is just going to be a little bit thinner. So profile comparison, I would say this is probably medium-sized knife and medium thickness, right? It does feel like it has some weight to it. If I had to guess, and I haven't put this on the scale yet, I'm going to say this is probably coming in at about 3.5, 4 ounces. Oh, actually coming in at 4.9 ounces. That's pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting it to weigh quite so much. 4.9 ounces, almost 5 ounces. Actually, before I do that, Shaman weighing in about that. 5.2, yeah, okay. And that's with the skinny scales. What about the TRM? 3.5? 4.2. I'm all off today. I don't know what's going on with me. My hand scales are not working properly today, but that's why I have the actual scale there. Let's go ahead and jump into my thoughts and impressions. Let's kick it off with the ergos. Very neutral ergonomics here. You got a slight contour going on towards the back, very straight bottom with a little bit of curvature here. Everything is knocked down really nicely on this knife. Very comfortable, no hot spot on the edges whatsoever. Even here where they have it carved out for that lock bar access is really well done. Pocket clip also very simple, straightforward. It's a milled titanium clip that is knocked down all around the edges. So in the hand, this is very comfortable. I like this a lot. Doesn't bother me in any type of position. Of course, with the larger hands, using the fuller here for the finger, or the carve out for the finger and the access to the lock bar, I hang off the back just a little. Not awful, a little bit there, but it still feels pretty comfortable in hand, and it's a good size for EDC as far as ergos go. The thickness of the knife also really lends to its ergonomic prowess. It's very comfortable in hand. I really like using this. No issues breaking down boxes, cutting paper, anything like that. It's very nice. Now, when it did come to me, because it was coming in the pass around, I did notice that the edge had a little bit of a hang up in one spot, so I stropped it on either side about 8 times. Right back to form. I'm assuming somebody probably tested this on some cardboard and, you know, probably hit up against something that just chipped it just a little bit in a spot, but it really stropped back nicely, and it's got a nice edge, very slicey for the thickness of the blade stock and the type of knife that it is. I really like the performance of MagnaCut. It does really well, and American Blade Works put a very nice edge on this one. So I'm happy to see that and report that I was able to just with 8 little passes on either side get rid of that little tiny snag. I couldn't even see it. It was so microscopic, the little chip that was on it, but dropped right back up. Lock bar is coming in at 50% lockup as far as I can tell. Lock bar access, I would call it good, right? You can get to it from the side, but it's not going to let you get past the detent ball. You're going to have to push it down the rest of the way and then shake it home. I find that this is the type of knife that's really like that European style lock. Just slide it over when you pass the detent ball. Go ahead and close it the rest of the way. Or if you like, pick it up, move it the rest of the way. But you got to get really close to the blade's edge, as you saw there. Right there, I'm past the detent ball. So I think the best way to disengage this particular one is from the side. Detent on here is nice. I was able to find a spot down low where I could kind of fling it out, reverse flicking it, but it's not really meant for that, and it's not easy to do. You really have to kind of get the finger wedged down in there to come off of the top of that little fuller. The top of that little fuller right there. Outside of that, feels good in hand. The balance being that it's a steel inset liner on titanium with a titanium backspacer. The balance is right. Where is the balance? Why is it my finger is too round? So the balance is right there, kind of a little bit on the back side of the fuller. But once it's in hand, it feels fine. It doesn't feel that out of sort where it's super noticeable. I've noticed that a couple of reviewers were able to kind of use that trigger pull. For me, it's a little unsettling because I'm super duper close to the edge of that blade and I have felt it kind of scratch my finger, so I avoid that. When I'm pinch gripping, I just pinch up like here on the pivot, finger out on the tip, middle finger inside of the cutout here for the lock bar access, and it's fine. I have no issues whatsoever. Very comfortable knife. I like that this has I think it's a milled blade, and it has kind of like the little steps. You can see those along the edge of the blade there. Pretty neat. Can't feel it to the naked finger as far as any sort of step down. So I don't know if it's just finished off after they kind of step it down. They maybe finish it off and stonewash it and then put the edge on it. I'm not 100% sure. But it's a very cool little knife, and it's really nice because it's an American-made knife with Magna Cut steel on washers that's pretty tight as far as tolerances, and it's a really good price for a USA knife. I'll throw that up on the screen because I'm drawing a blank on the different tiers, but I believe the Model 1 starts in at $199 with G10 in the nested liners, and then of course it just steps up from there with the blade materials. And this is still a good buy even with the titanium. I think it's really interesting, and I hope that he continues to have some success. Now, it does look like instead of a full slab of titanium, he does have liners on the inside of this knife here, and I'm assuming that is so that he can thread. I'm not really sure. I think he could go with just having the pivot bearing, the washer, not the bearing, the washer, so that the bearing can ride on that on this side, and just go with a full scale, whether that be G10 or titanium. I don't know if it's cheaper or easier to manufacture it this way, but I think he could just get away with having the steel liner in here. That probably could also maybe reduce some weight, because obviously he had to mill it out to fit the steel liner on this side. But I'm not a maker, so I don't know if that's why he did or didn't do that. Very useful blade shape with that Wharncliffe blade. Super useful for utility cuts, push cuts, draw cuts, pull cuts. It's a straight blade. It's really easy to strap, maintain because it's a straight edge. So this is a great user knife too if you need something where you're doing those type of cuts where your puncture task might not be as important. Now, the interesting thing about American Blade Works is they do offer a drop point. So if you want something that's more traditional and you do need something that is going to puncture whatever it is that you're doing, that's going to work great. Little detail here. You got the ABW here and etched into the pivot. It also is D-shaped on the actual pivot itself, and it has really good recessed here. Like everything is recessed in. So you don't feel any of that. The only thing that sticks out just a little bit here are the actual body hardware. That sticks out a little bit, but then the one in the titanium pocket clip are recessed. So those are really, really good points. At that price point, there's not a whole lot that competes. Now, if you don't mind phosphor bronze washers and you want something smaller or bigger, you can find that the paramilitary lineup starts in at around 120, 130 bucks, but it's not going to be MagnaCut steel. It's going to be the, what is it, BD1N, I think that it starts out with on the lightweight models. And then you step into S45 for the full-on Para 3, Paramilitary 2, which is a good steel. I would probably say it's going to have better edge retention than MagnaCut, but MagnaCut is going to perform very well. It's going to be very hard to notice, and MagnaCut's going to be tougher, less prone to chipping, and it is going to be very corrosive resistant versus the S45 unit. S45 leans more towards edge retention and a little bit away from toughness and corrosion, as opposed to like S30 and then S35. As you bump up, you get more of that edge retention. And it is a balanced steel. I'm just saying it's not going to be as balanced as the MagnaCut is overall. And, you know, it's a little bit less, but ABW is a smaller company. He's not able to kind of dissolve his cost across mass production, where Spyderco is able to kind of dissolve some of the exhaust costs because they're able to mass produce. So more units means they can afford to bring the price down a little bit. You also get discounts when you order in higher quantities. And I'm assuming with ABW, you're not really getting that, but you're getting a really nice model here. As far as medium knives, TRM is going to be another one that I think is really close as a competitor for ABW, and a very good one. You can't go wrong with either one of these knives. Now this one here is very expensive with the titanium, but I think they're around $250, and my editor can put that up on the screen. For the G10 or micarta, I think those are a little bit more affordable. They're going to be a little bit more of a slicier style knife. This one's going to be a little bit more of a tougher knife. So they're definitely going to be targeting different things. The action is going to be better on the ABW as well. If you like drop shut, this will fall, but you got to shake the crap out of it to get it to, you know what I'm saying, to get it to go home, or just do a really hard thrust. Whereas this, you're just going to be able to break it and it's going to like go home with very minimal shakes. Or you can do the same thing, one medium thrust there, and because it's on bearings, it's going to go home. Both these knives are going to get better over time as they break in. I'm still breaking in my Adams, so it's not completely broken in. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts about ABW? Do you like them? Do you know about them? Are you tempted and or interested? It seems like he's trying to do MagnaCut, which is great at this price point. This is like Hogue price point territory. And he's offering it as a liner lock as opposed to a crossbar lock. So that is something that is different from what Hogue is offering. Got some paper on the table. Shout out to everyone out there that leaves the likes, comments, and is subscribed. I appreciate all the support. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.